Hey there, this is Red. It's time for Red Reveals, and today we're going to take a look at the latest Marvel Champions Hero Pack, Scarlet Witch. Now, uh, really, me growing up, I didn't pay much attention to Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch and Vision and like kind of the core Avengers group, I didn't pay a whole lot of mind to. I was kind of more into the West Coast Avengers characters. So I really haven't become a fan of Scarlet Witch until recently in the MC universe, and especially with the WandaVision series that came out. I've really kind of liked the interactions between Scarlet Witch and Vision. Felt like it gave those characters a lot of depth. Now, I didn't follow them in the comic books. Maybe that depth is in the comic books. I just didn't see it, but it was really nice to see it come out on screen. So thought it's been really cool. Been really excited about this Scarlet Witch Hero Pack coming out and just seeing what's in there. Now, I haven't looked at the cards a whole lot. I have seen that there's some chaos stuff going on that works with the boost icons that the encounter cards throw out. So let's take a look at the card and see what that does. So we're gonna open this up here. I've already took my little stickers missing already. I took it and stuck it on the back over here. So let's see here. Let's see if I can get into here. Pop it open. Oh, maybe. Oh, ow. My fingers didn't do the right thing there. There we go. Okay. All right, so we're going to open it up. Got our little pack. We'll get it out there. Let's see what we've got for our poster and rules right off the bat. So let's get Scarlet Witch out of the way. I'm unfolding a little postery thing here. See what our picture looks like. Let's see if I can show it down here. Nice. That's pretty cool. All right, what do we have for Scarlet Witch Hero Pack here? So we've got, let's see here, Hero Pack, everything you need, divider card, and then we've got our team up, which we've seen before, so that's not anything all that different. Then we've got rules clarification. What do we have here? We have Scarlet Witch's Chaos Control ability and her Scarlet Witch's Crest upgrade count boost icons. What does it mean to count boost icons? It says boost icons are counted whenever a game step or card ability determines the exact number of boost icons on an encounter card. Okay, so remember boost icons are, let me grab a card from over here. Let's see here. Boost icons, there we go. So if you're looking at your Hydra sidearm here, boost icons. Those are your boost icons down there in the corner. What are not boost icons? Let me see if I can find a different card. Yep. All right. Not a boost icon. That's a little boost effect there. So you've got boost icons and effect. So two different things. All right. So she's going to work with boost icons. So let's open this pack up and see what's in here. Get out my handy dandy knife. Pop open the plastic on here. All right. And then let's see what we've got. All right, let's start off with Scarlet Witch, right? Well, actually, let's flip it over and start off with Wanda there. So what do we have for Wanda Maximoff? We've got superpowered siblings. Action, discard 2 cards from your hand, draw 2 cards. So that's the same as Pietro over here, Quicksilver, which I've got sitting out right next to me because I just played a horrible game and lost with Quicksilver. So we'll put that in the links there. Yeah, anyway, you can go back and look at that. I need to rebuild that deck. Anyway, so we've got Wanda Maximoff there, and she's got the same power. We've got a hand size of 6, and she's got 10 hit points. Interesting. So she's got a little bit more hit points than Quicksilver does. All right, then on the Scarlet Witch side, we've got Chaos Control. Interrupt when boost icons on an encounter card would be counted. Discard the top card of the encounter deck and count the number of boost icons on that card instead. She can do that once per phase. So when you flip that 3, you get attacked, and you flip that 3 boost card, you can then say, nope, let's try that again. And then, well, then in my case, you flip another 3 and get hit with 3 anyway. But there are chances that that doesn't happen to you. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then it looks like a lot of her other abilities are based off of those encounter boost icons. So if you expect to attack for, get a boost of 1 maybe, and you flip the card and get a 0, then you can get kind of a second chance at going at that. But it's once per phase. So You only get to do that once on your turn. All right, so looking at that, she's got a hand size of 5. So we were 6. Yep, 6 and then 5. So we drop 1. And then she's got 2 thwart, 1 attack, and 2 defense. All right, so doesn't look like a big attacky hero, but let's go through the cards and see what else we come up with. All right, so why don't I put her right there, and then we'll go through the cards right here. All right, so we've got Quicksilver, 4 cost, ally, 1 thwart, 2 attack. That's our premier ally or our key ally there. We've got action, ready Quicksilver, limit once per phase. So it's going to be kind of like our hero Quicksilver, where he can bounce back up. But interestingly, he does not have to use his basic ability in order to ready. So that is kind of cool. Could be interesting. So there's things where you like exhaust allies in order to do things with your hero. So Quicksilver might be kind of fun in those situations. A little bit more utility there. Interesting. All right. We have Chaos Magic. Hero action. This is 0 cost. So hero action, play a card from your hand, ignoring its resource cost. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to that card's printed resource cost. Interesting. So that means that essentially anything can become a 1 cost, because you're going to play this card. Essentially becomes a 1 cost spell. Is that right? Am I reading that right? Play a card from your hand. I've got a feeling with Scarlet Witch here, a lot of these things are going to be a little bit complicated. So play a card from your hand, ignoring its resource cost. All right, so we play Quicksilver, we ignore his resource cost. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to that card's printed resource cost. Okay, so instead of paying 4, I would do Chaos Magic, play Quicksilver, and then I would discard 4 from the top of the encounter deck. Yep, so really it makes any card potentially a 1 cost card, but you can go through the encounter deck quicker. All right. Maybe that's a good way to get Hercules on the board there. All right, and there's only 1 of those in there, so it doesn't look like you're going to be doing it very often, but every once in a while. All right, they've got Hex Bolt. Hero action. Discard the top 3 cards of the encounter deck for each card discarded this way that has boost icons equal to 0. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. 1, remove 2 threat from a scheme. 2, draw a card. 3, place a status card on a character. Well, that's kind of cool, and that's going to scale. Well, it depends on how you take a look at status cards versus the other abilities. So if you assume status cards are better, then as you scale the villain, you're potentially getting your expert cards in there, which tend to give more boost icons, which means you'll be doing status cards more often, which is potentially throwing more stuns on the villain or giving yourself toughness more often. Or, well, yeah, it's also doing the confuse thing, right? So I think that power is going to scale with the difficulty of villain that you're going against, which we're seeing more and more of that in Marvel Champions right now, and I like that. So some abilities that key off of where the villain is at. All right, so we've got 1, 2, we've got 3, 4 of those in there. Wow, okay. Now the other side part of that is you're going to take 3 cards off the encounter deck when you do that. So we're seeing some crazy encounter deck churn at this point in time. So things will be accelerating very fast playing Scarlet Witch. So, which to me seems interesting in that Quicksilver was a build deck, but it looks like Scarlet Witch thus far is going to really force you through that encounter deck, and you're going to be playing quick. So we'll see how that goes. All right, so next up we've got Molecular Decay, and I love the artwork on that. That is fantastic. Deal 5 damage to an enemy, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 additional damage to the enemy. All right, so if you pair that with Scarlet Witch's ability to essentially replace one of those cards, you can end up doing a lot of damage in a turn. That's nice. Costs 3. You got 2 of those, 3 of those. Okay. All right, then we have Warp Reality. So Hero Interrupt. When an encounter, cost of 1 event. So when an encounter card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel all of its effects and discard it. Discard cards from the top of the encounter deck equal to the number of boost icons on that card. Ooh, I like that card. That's very nice. So when that thing happens that you don't really like, there we go. Agatha Harkness. So that's a little bit different than the WandaVision Agatha, but you should watch WandaVision. It's really good. Anyway, Alter Ego, exhaust Agatha Harkness. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Add one of those to your hand and place the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So I think this kind of harkens back, pun there, harkens back to the Agatha Harkness of the comic books, which I believe was kind of a mentor in the end to Scarlet Witch. So at this point in time, we're going to look at the top 3 cards of your deck, add one of those to your hand, and put the rest on the bottom. So there's some deck filtering going on there, like that. And it's only a 1-cost card, so that's pretty good. All right, we've got a Magic Shield, which is an upgrade. So it's going to be persistent when you put it out there. When a friendly character would take any amount of damage, discard Magic Shield, prevent 3 of that damage. Okay, I like it. How many of those do we have? We've got 2, 3 of those. Okay. And I like that that's any friendly character, so it's not just you. You can use it for your allies. You can use it for, I guess you could use that for if you're playing multiplayer in order to block for multiple other people. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then there's a whole bunch of cards if somebody else is playing protection, right, that key off of if they take no damage. So you can kind of tag team with that. And that could be very nice in a Scarlet Witch protection deck. Interesting. All right, Scarlet Witch's Crest, which says when boost icons on an encounter card are counted, exhaust Scarlet Witch's Crest, increase or decrease the number of boost icons on that card by 1 for this count. So a little way to tweak those revealed icons. Pretty cool. All right, so overall, what I think I'm seeing out of our Scarlet Witch deck here is we're going to be churning through the encounter deck very quickly. I see some defense in there, a little bit of offense, but I'm looking at more of a support type character, I think, out of here. We don't see like a hardcore attacking character. The molecular decays are nice, but I see a lot of what looks to me like defense, and like the Hex Bolt really depends on how it goes. Now, I guess the other interesting part of that is you can manipulate that with Scarlet Witch or even Scarlet Witch's Crest, right? You could make those into different things. So there's a lot of interesting kind of weird things you can do with Scarlet Witch at this point. I don't know. I am thinking support character. I'm not thinking offensive character, but we'll see how that goes. All right. Let's take a look at what cards come in her pre-con deck at this point in time. So, and these are cards you can use in other decks. So we've got Speed, which is after Speed thwarts, ready him. So he's got 2 thwart, 1 attack, 4 health, and he's 4 cost. So I'm kind of on that one, but he's a justice card, so the 2 thwart and being able to ready after thwart, I think fits into what a justice deck is supposed to do. So good with that. We've got Wicken, which is 1 thwart, 1 attack, 3 health with a cost of 2. So does he have a really cool ability? Let's see here. So after Wicken thwarts, discard the top card of the encounter deck. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 damage to an enemy. I like that. That seems pretty nice. And again, that kind of feeds into some of Scarlet Witch's abilities there. So, like it. I like Wicken. Does Wicken have use outside of Scarlet Witch's deck? I would say yes. He's low cost, and with that additional damage, when you're fighting against things that have like toughness, it could be really handy to ping off some of the other things that are out there. And it's 1 damage. For each boost icon discarded this way, deal 1 damage to an enemy. All right. So it's not just minions, it's an enemy. So you got a pretty broad range what you can go after there. All right, next up we've got Crisis Averted. 3 cost event, which says hero action. It's a thwart event. Remove 6 threat from the main scheme. If you paid for this card using a mental resource, this thwart ignores the crisis icon. I like that one. So if your role out there is to be the justice deck and keep threat off the main scheme, especially Okay, I guess what I would say is in a single player game, when you have being able to get rid of sixth threat is nice, but I think that's going to have more play in a multiplayer game where you're having to run into things like other players are revealing things with crisis icons, and then taking sixth threat off is a pretty good chunk. And this card's got pretty good cost. Usually, I feel you're usually able to mitigate a thwart a little bit better in single player stuff. So removing six is a pretty big chunk to take at once, but I can see that getting a lot more play in multiplayer. I think it'd be okay in single player, but I don't know how fantastic it is there. I think it's going to be a lot better in multiplayer games where you are designated the keep the main scheme down person. All right, multitasking. Hero action, thwart, remove two threat from a scheme. If you paid for this card using a mental resource, remove two threat from a different scheme, and it costs one. All right, that one is going to be really good, I think, if you're using things like if you get some stuff out there that generates wild resources at a one cost, that's going to be really a pretty decent card. So for a cost of one, you're going to get rid of four threat. Well, it's got to be on two different schemes, right? So that is a little bit of a barrier there, but that's pretty cool. I like that card. I'm happy with that card. And what is that? That's he's got a little dog in his hands there. So he's got a donut and a dog, getting it all done. All right, that would be multitasking. All right, so we've got Swift Retribution, hero action, attack. The villain schemes, deal 4 damage to the villain for a cost of 1. Wow. Okay, so we saw the one in the previous set that makes the villain attack you, and you get to do 5 damage, I believe it is. So this one is the villain's going to scheme, and you do 4 damage. So again, because I play a lot of solo, that seems kind of scary in a solo player thing. But if you're dealing out confusion, that might be all right. Or, I kind of poo-pooed that remove 6 threat card. But maybe if you're playing with that along with your Swift Retribution, it comes into sync there. I don't know, that one seems a little bit scary to me. But again, I play a lot of solo player. Potentially the villain doing another scheme is not so scary when you're playing multiplayer. So I have mixed feelings on that card. All right, Turn the Tide. What do we have here? A response after your hero thwarts. It removes all threat from a scheme. Deal 3 to an enemy. Okay, I like that one. So there again is another one that's making that take away 6 threat thing seem kind of nice. After your hero thwarts, it removes all threat from a scheme. Yep. So, and then toss 3 onto there. So for a cost of 3 potentially, then you're going to throw another card on there. You can get rid of 6 threat and do 3 damage. That's a nice combo. I like it. All right. We got Power of Justice. Got Heroic Intuition. So with that in there, you're getting Wanda up to 3 thwart. So 3 thwart with a Turn the Tide. That I could do that in solo. I can see that happening. Got 2 Heroic Intuitions because we got to give you a couple. All right. All right. Then we've got Order and Chaos. So when a Treachery card is revealed from the encounter deck, cancel its when revealed effect, then deal 2 damage to the villain. I like Order and Chaos, but I think you need to be playing multiplayer in order to make that happen. And if you're playing Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver multiplayer, I don't think it's all that useful when you're playing solo, unless because I guess the way that I've played thus far hasn't really been about, like in Quicksilver, getting Scarlet Witch out and keeping her out there as long as possible so you can potentially play this card. It just seems a little bit too dependent when you're playing only one hero or the other. But if you've got 2 people at the table that are playing those characters, I think this is a must-have card in your deck because it's pretty powerful. So when you get that synergy going, it's good. All right, next up, we've got Spiritual Meditation. So play only if your identity has the Mystic trait. So we're like back to Doctor Strange's realm also, where you have to have the Mystic trait. So I think Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange are only 2 Mystic heroes in the game thus far. So action, draw 2 cards, choose and discard 1 card from your hand. All right, I like that one a lot better than like I think it's like Wanda's thing here, which is discard 2 cards and then draw cards. Here you're gonna draw, look at what you have, and then get rid of 1 card from your hand. So that's pretty powerful. I like that. And it's a 0 cost event, so nice. Oh, there's 3 of them in there. Holy cow. Okay, those are cool. If you're looking for specific things in your deck, that's going to be super powerful. It's like a deck thinning mechanism. Wow. Only if you're so I guess the other part of it is Wanda Maximoff is a mystic also. All right, and it's an action card, so that I think that's a big bonus too. Is that is both sides of Scarlet Witch there can do the spiritual meditation. I think that's super powerful also. Wow. Okay. So then we've got our energy, our genius, strength, pretty standard stuff. Now we're going to get into our obligation cards and our nemesis cards, right? So wait, there's 2 obligation cards. This is craziness. So what do we have here? We have give the Wanda Maximoff player, you may flip to alter ego form, choose exhaust Wanda Maximoff, remove slipping sanity from the game, or discard the top 5 cards of the encounter deck for each star icon in the boost area discarded this way. Place 1 threat on the main scheme, discard this obligation. So that's going to be pretty dependent upon who it is that you're going up against. So to recap, boost icons, and that's the little star icon for when there's like a boost action that happens that you would kick off. So this would really only come into play when you see these on the cards, and that's going to be kind of dependent upon who it is that you're going up against. Some of the villains have those like crazy in their deck, and some of them you rarely see them. So, and that's a 3 boost icon card, and there's 2 of them in there. Very interesting. All right. What else do we have here? We have the next evolution side scheme. The High Evolutionary intends to build a god fit for the 21st century. Increase the number of boost icons on each encounter card by 1. So that's a mixed bag for Wanda there. Like, could be good. That potentially makes her do more damage in a lot of cases and get better benefits. Oh, wow. And so what's the downside to that? The downside is that on a lot of cards, the villain's going to attack you for 1 more or scheme for 1 more. I don't know if that's all that horrible. That might actually be a kind of side scheme that you want to come out and leave out potentially as Wanda. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that one? I don't know that that's like a horrible thing to be out there. She might actually want that in play. Like, yeah, bring it on. All right. And we've got Luminous. Forced response. After Luminous activates against you, discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded this way, deal yourself 1 encounter card. Discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded this way, deal yourself 1 encounter card. All right. So I guess you can modify that with Scarlet Witch's powers or some of the cards that she has to try to keep it underneath that, but it's going to be pretty likely that you're going to get another encounter card. Now, I don't know this villain, or I guess, and you kind of, just like with the Wandavision stuff, I'm not sure that Nemesis and villain are necessarily the same thing. So could it be that Captain Marvel's friend there is Luminous? Is that possible? I don't know. Let's let me know in the comments on that one. That's my first thought, is because I don't know what Luminous's abilities are, or how she compares, or in the backstories and stuff, how all of that comes out. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that ends up playing out. All right, so we've got magical suspension. Attached to your identity, each card you play costs 1 additional resource. Okay, I don't like that one. So exhaust your hero to discard this card. Okay, that one's pretty rough. Chaos Manipulation. When revealed, search the encounter deck and discard pile for Luminous and put her into play engaged with you. Discard the top 2 cards of the encounter deck. If 2 or more boost icons were discarded this way, Luminous activates against you. Ouch! Okay. So not only does she come out, she will potentially activate against you also. Wow, okay. That seems like a pretty rough card too, so I don't like either of these two. These are pretty mean. Luminous is, well, she's got 5 health and 2 scheme and 2 attack, so that's pretty good also. And then the fact that she can bring out other encounter cards. Okay, yeah. I think she's going to be a fairly rough one to run up against, but I'm still not sure about that, whether that's like actually bad for you or whether that's good for you as Scarlet Witch. So be really interested to hear what other people's opinions on that one are. So, all right. So at that point, we're done with the Scarlet Witch deck, and we've kind of looked at all the pre-con Scarlet Witch stuff. So we're at the stop, and we can take a look at, this is what Scarlet Witch's pre-con deck looks like. We'll probably end up playing that at some point here. Still got some more Quicksilver stuff I want to do before I get into Scarlet Witch, but we'll play in the Scarlet Witch pre-con deck pretty soon. Let's see what our additional cards are, because I'm finding a lot of value in these additional cards that come out with these sets. So let's see what we've got here. We've got Browbeat. We've got a play only if your identity has the Avenger trait. So usually these cards have kind of a theme, so I'm wondering if these are all Avenger cards. All right, Hero Action, which is pretty much everybody but Ms. Marvel, I think, at this point. Anyway, Hero Action, deal 2 damage to the villain, deal X additional damage to the villain to a maximum of 3, where X is equal to the villain's stage number. So there again, we go with the scaling for the villain, which I'm liking at this point in time. So that's a pretty cool card. I think that's Mockingbird there, isn't it? All right, cost of 2, you're doing 2 damage, up to 5 damage. So you're going to do 3 damage because your villain's probably going to be at least 1, right? Up to a maximum of 5 damage. For a cost of 2, not too bad. Last Stand, Hero Interrupt. And so it costs 0. If a Hero Interrupt, when an ally you control attacks, it gets +3 attack for that attack. After the attack resolves, discard that ally. Ooh, that's a nice card. I like that card. So I'm thinking this is going to be used in combo with a ton of other cards out there. So like we've got Goliath, or just some of the other leadership cards that help bring allies back. That looks like it's going to be a very well used card. Now this one isn't using the Avenger stuff. This is just making your allies bigger. So I think that one's going to get a lot of use in a lot of leadership decks because, you know, leadership needed to be boosted a little bit. But it is interesting. It's playing into the making your allies go away part, where there has been some things that are helping to highlight keeping your allies around and making that more advantageous. So it's interesting to see something take it in the other direction. All right, so we've got Bait and Switch. Hero Action, thwart the villain attacks you, remove 4 threat from the main scheme. All right, so this is kind of like the other one that was our Justice card, which was the villain schemes and you do 4 damage. This is the villain attacks, remove 4 threat from the main scheme. And what I'm thinking with that one is, if I'm in that Quicksilver deck that you're playing, like the pre-con deck, you get him up to a defense of 3. That's going to be a pretty nice little card there. Even things like Black Panther, if Black Panther's playing protection and you start building up some retaliate and some defense, that could be a really good card with a cost of 1. That's pretty cool. I like that card. I'm happy with that. Sometimes you want the villain to attack you. Control that a little bit. Pretty cool. All right, Recuperation. This costs 2, and we have an alter ego action. Heal damage from your alter ego equal to your recovery. All right, and there's 3 of those in there. So what's this card? So you're going to get a, usually you flip the alter ego to rest. Now, a lot of times you do a double rest because you're down. So ideally you flip and then you recover once. Like, so we'd flip over. So let's say Scarlet Witch is down 8 health, right? So you would flip to Wanda. You would recover for 3. You would come back up. You would then on your next turn recover for 3 and then flip to your, and then you would flip to your hero side, right? So your options at that point would be recover for 3. Then on your next turn, you could recover for 3 and then you could do recuperation to recover for 3, flip, and you would still be righted, or you could do a double recovery where you end up recovering for essentially between the 2 turns 9, but then you end up exhausted as you go into the main part of your phase, and you can't, once you go hero, you can't really use your basic abilities at that point in time. So what do I think about that card? I think that's nice. It's going to, like I could really see with Quicksilver, right? Where when you're Pietro, you don't want to go into your hero form being exhausted because you get so much more out of your character because you get to go twice essentially if you go into hero form and can stay unexhausted. So I think on the turn, if you're recovering as Quicksilver, you would rather recuperate and then go into that untapped as opposed to going into that tapped. And that could change that dynamic a lot. There's some other heroes that I think it would be nice to go into that round untapped and be able to, like Hulk, instead of resting, going into that and being able to flip over and come in and give the beat down with your massive attack ability. I don't know. That's an interesting card. We'll see how that one plays out. All right, so let's take a look at what we got here. We've got Bait and Switch. I like that card. Last Stand. I like, but it's another leadership card. Damn it. And leadership doesn't really need anymore. Browbeat for the cost, and I like the scale of that. Vendor only card, which, doesn't really matter at this point. Recuperation, nice card. Spiritual Meditation, very limited value, but that looks like a really good deck thinning card because, Doctor Strange really needed to be boosted a little bit because he was kind of creeping down the power scale from top tier to top tier, he was hurting. Order and Chaos, of course, is going to be in there. I think that's if you're playing with Quicksilver, those are pretty standard, and that's pretty standard. Turn the Tide. After your hero, that's the one where, let's see here, after you thwart, remove all the threat, deal 3 damage to an enemy. At first, I'm kind of iffy on that one, but looking at it in combination with some of the other cards like our Crisis Averted that's in there, which is that card there. We were taking 6 off. That could be a fairly good combo. And then we've got Swift Retribution in there, which villain's going to scheme, deal 4 damage to the villain. That one makes me a little bit nervous being a solo player. And we have Multitasking, which is getting a couple threat away from 2 things potentially if you're using mental resources. So my feeling is I'm seeing a lot of support cards in here, again, making Scarlet Witch more of a support type character rather than a like solo go after it yourself type character. She's probably going to extend the game out a little bit too. And the 2 allies that you get in there, I like Wicken a lot. Speed I'm okay with. I think speed really does play into the, if you're doing justice and you're playing multiplayer and your goal is to always be thwarting, then speed is a perfect fit for that. I think Wiccan's got a little bit more utility and he's lower cost. I'm not sure if Wiccan's a he or she. What is it? It's William. Yeah, so I'm going to guess that it's a he. It looks like Wiccan has a lot more utility and could be played in more than just a, hey, I need to justice deck. I need to take care of the scheme. That could be a character that you use to do offensive damage also. So pretty cool. Overall, deck looks very interesting. Looks like it's going to be somewhat complex to play. and that you got to figure out which encounter cards and when to use. I think the other key thing will be at what point, because you only get to do it once per phase, is use her ability. So at what point do you do that? Do you do it early on in the phase while you're doing stuff, or do you save it for later? Which thing are you going to modify? And sometimes they'll probably come up and you'll be like, oh, heck no, I need to do it right now. And then you'll draw another thing later and be like, oh, I used it at the wrong time. So I think it's going to add a lot of fun to the game playing this character. I'm not sure where she's going to end up on the power scale. My initial impression is I don't think she's going to be top tier. I think she's going to be mid tier. I think she's probably not as good as like a definitely not a Doctor Strange Quicksilver. I don't even know that she's going to hit Captain America. She may be more in like the Black Widow type character, which I do like those characters and think they're pretty powerful. I just don't think that they're gangbusters powerful. And it's going to depend upon in which situation you're playing her. So I think in games where you want to control the game with multiplayer, she could be pretty powerful. Anyway, be interesting to see how she plays. Do the standard run through. I'll take her through some Rhino stuff so we can see how that goes, and hopefully we'll play her in some other situations too and see how all of that goes. All right. So that's it for now. That's my my go through of the Scarlet Witch deck. I will probably my shop that I've got where I've been putting some individual cards. I've got some extra packs that I'll take and I'll unbox and I'll throw into the shop. So if anybody's looking to get some of these individual cards, you can follow the links in the description and I'll take you to my shop where I've got, you know, some singles for sale, I guess. I'm unboxing singles, and really that's not a money-making operation at this point in time because I've got like 900 energies at this point in time because that's not cards people need to buy. But one of the things I always wanted was to be able to get my hands on some of the specific cards, or I wanted, you know, like more of the encounter sets, and that's something I'm trying to facilitate a little bit. So anyway, Scarlet Witch is looking pretty cool. Excited to play her. I've got a little bit more Quicksilver I want to go through on the playing side before I play Scarlet Witch, but I plan on playing Scarlet Witch and I plan on putting her in these standby sleeves, I think, just to go after the show. So, all right, that's it for now. Let me know in the comments your thoughts on Scarlet Witch and some of the cards. Do you agree, disagree with me on some of those? What aspect are you going to pair her with? She comes with Justice. Is that the right aspect for Scarlet Witch? I'm wondering that at this point in time because I don't know. I'm not seeing the bite that she has in her deck right now. And maybe she just needs to delay the game, and that's what Justice is doing for you with her deck. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Comments below. That's it for now, and thanks for watching.